Hello again. Now, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula has struck back and is looking to appeal an Eastern Cape High Court order compelling him to draft an action plan to stop the attacks on Intercape's long-distance buses. This comes after Intercape called for safe passage for its buses after reports that of over 150 shootings and other acts of violence directed at bus drivers and passengers. In fact, one bus driver was killed in April. The DA's Western Cape spokesperson on transport, Ricardo Mackenzie, joined me now to discuss this further. Ricardo, good afternoon. Welcome to Today on ENCA. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. What's your position on this Intercape matter and the fact that Minister is now, Fikile Mbalula, is fighting against the order to protect Intercape from violent taxi associations? We know there have been attacks, there have been incidents, including the death of one bus driver. I think it was back in April.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dan, and thank you for having me. This has to be the most bizarre thing that I've ever seen in South African politics in a very long time. The minister was ordered by the court to do his job, by the way. 20 days later, at the last minute, he then filed an appeal on the order. Instead of filing a plan to do what is actually his job, he then appealed the plan. It is the most bizarre thing I've seen in recent politics in this country. After a minister was ordered to do his job, he then filed an appeal 4 weeks later to say, well, I'm not going to do my job. It is unacceptable. I'm furious because, as you know, thousands of commuters are now starting their journey towards the end of the year between the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape and many other provinces. Our trains are not running, as you know. Shosholoza Mail is not running from Cape Town to the Eastern Cape. So those commuters were going to use the bus. But now the buses has been under attack, as you highlighted in your introduction, 150 attacks on buses. This is a disaster waiting to be exasperated going forward.
Does this mean that the Intercape bus travelers or the Intercape bus service could be left unprotected this festive season?
They are currently unprotected. We've tried as the Western Cape to provide as much support as we can, but that responsibility, as you know, falls under the National Department of Transport, Minister Mbalula, and also SAPS, which is a responsibility that we don't have in the Western Cape, but we do as much as we can. So the buses are unprotected as we speak. And I hope and I pray every single day going forward, another incident don't happen, that somebody, or as you indicated, another bus driver do not lose their life. It is unacceptable, and the minister should be called out on it because he should have provided a plan as the court ordered, but then instead of the last minute at 3:30, I think 2 weeks ago Friday, he filed an appeal against an order. It is bizarre, actually.
So what can you do provincially, I mean, in this matter? Now that the minister has literally interjected the court order, we'll have to wait, I guess, and see what happens there. But what are the options open to you to support Intercape?
The options that has been open to us, and we used as much as possible, Dan, has been to ask our provincial traffic services, our city of Cape Town, and work with the SAPS in the Western Cape to provide support. I've personally written at least 3 times to my counterparts in the Eastern Cape to call for an urgent meeting. I even proposed the venue. We can do it in Plettenberg Bay, just so that we can put this issue on the agenda. I spoke to Santaco. Santaco appeared in front of my standing committee. The provincial commissioners appeared in front of my standing committee to try to address this issue. Intercape themselves appeared in front of my standing committee in Parliament to address these issues. But the only way this can be effectively addressed is the National Minister of Police and Transport coordinate and work together and provide a plan of action, which the court ordered them to do so 6 weeks ago. Instead, Minister Mbalula filed a plan to appeal the court order. It is insane, frankly.
Yeah, Intercape is pointing a finger at long-distance taxi associations as being allegedly behind some of these attacks. You've engaged with Santaco, for example, as you've just said. What was your sense? I mean, what is it that's making them allegedly to attack Intercape?
I think we can take the word allegedly out. Santaco representatives has in writing asked Intercape to pay bribes. The Eastern Cape MEC of Transport has in writing asked Intercape to give a portion of their business to the Eastern Cape Bus Association. So you can take the allegedly out of it. That is confirmed in writing. So I invited Santaco Western Cape, because that's the jurisdiction that I have, to our meetings, and they have denied the allegations. The allegations that cannot be denied is the Eastern Cape part of the Taxi Association, where they have put these things in writing, where the MEC of Transport in the Eastern Cape has in writing asked Intercape to allocate routes to them. So that is a blatant violation of law, as you can imagine, being asked by an elected government to give your business to taxi associations. It is bizarre, actually. And the fact that Minister Mbalula then continues that and appealed a court order allowing this illegal actions and blatant economic terrorism to continue against the bus services is going to leave tens of thousands of passengers in dire strait as we go towards the busiest period of December.
Yeah, and I understand, sadly, in the Eastern Cape, there are so-called no-go areas in places like Kofimvaba, Butterworth, Engcobo, Tsomo, and Itujwa because of this situation. So the minister is interjecting the order now, exposing Intercape to ongoing intimidation and possibilities of violence from what we've seen already. You are trying, using your Western Cape resources to support where you can, including with the traffic authorities. But from a legal perspective, just enlighten me, what's next now? Now that the minister is interjected and stopping this order, what's next now? I saw a report saying the police say they are busy studying the order. They can't say anything yet, but his department is supposed to work with the police so they can do their jobs.
Dan, I don't know what is there to study. 150 attacks on buses over the last 2 years. A bus driver shot and murdered. Cases upon cases has been opened. A court ordered the national minister to come up with a plan of action. What is there to study? I honestly don't know. How many more people must die? We've written to the national minister. The premier himself, Ellen Windy, has written to the president. This was a perfect opportunity, actually, after the court has ordered Mbalula to do his job, for him to draw up a plan of action which can become a blueprint for the national joints and for national government. So right now, there is, everybody's, like you say, SAPS is saying we're waiting for the national minister. But there's nothing to wait for. 150 attacks on buses. It's a national crisis. And it's not Intercape that needs to be protected. Intercape doesn't drive, it's not passengers on their own buses. It's the tens of thousands of South Africans that travels daily on buses because the trains has collapsed. It's the tens of thousands of people that are going on a holiday or going home to the Eastern Cape, the places that you mentioned, where they go from Kailicha, Mitchell's Plain, Nyanga, or Tembaletu. They're going to go home, and they are the ones in danger, not Johan Ferreira, the CEO of Intercape. It's the tens of thousands of people that uses the buses are in danger. And it's bizarre that national government, instead of implementing a court order, which is, by the way, their job, now appeal this order. It is the most bizarre thing I've seen recently.